Wow. Thank you, everybody. Eric, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I had a big cannelloni lunch, so I'm a little bit slow this morning.
Yeah.
Actually, if I could, Eric, I just want to let everybody know, and I think Jelen did a good job. Jelen was explaining that we've known each other for a while, and I think we first met, what was it, 2008, 2009?
2009, 10 maybe?
And at the time, what we're going to be discussing, I simplified it to fixing a fintech and how to make it grow and scale up. But back then, I know you through Polimita.
Yeah.
And I did not know that you were in any way involved with Strands. Can you talk to us a little bit about how Strands started and how the status there was when you started to get back into the Strands?
Okay. So prior to Polimita, I co-founded a company called Isoko Intelligent Software Component. And after we sold that company, two of the co-founders created both companies, Polimita and Strands. So I was focused on Strands, where I was the CEO. Francisco was focused on Strands, where he was the CEO. But we both co-founded each of our companies.
Okay.
So I have never been involved with Strands so far. So my trip with Polimita was full-time until we sold to Red Hat in 2012.
That's when I was working with you, and I wanted to, if you can give an overview, because Strands is a fantastic company. Can you give a 30-second overview what Strands does, and so you can get a little bit better context?
Yes. Strands is very focused on machine learning for helping financial institutions to compete in the digital world that is today, to make face to the fintech, and one side to the big companies like Amazon or Apple that are entering into financial services as well. So Strands is there to partner with banks and other financial institutions to remain competitive and to transform those institutions digitally, continue growing and remain at the market leadership position.
Okay. As Jelen was talking about, one of the reasons I thought it was fantastic to be able to interview today is because you bring a fantastic mix of the theoretical with the practical. And I want to talk about that today, as well as the academics versus hands-on, as well as capital raising versus focusing on growth and organic sales. And we'll get into B Combinate a little bit later. So how did you find Strands when you decided to jump back into the game?
Oh, yes. Strands, let me please explain a little bit of history of Strands, because I think it's interesting for the audience. Strands is a very good example of pivoting a company. When the company was founded in 2004, it was focused on the music industry. So the group of software engineers that the company had, experts on artificial intelligence, they were creating algorithms to detect music patterns, provide music streamings and music recognition. So it was a kind of Shazam plus Spotify plus Apple Genius.
Okay.
And in 2009 and 2009-10, the company sold the technology to Apple. And the investors in the company, instead of putting the money in their pocket, they decided to do it again. So they used the same engineers to build something, but for another industry. Okay. In this case, it was financial services. So the company in 2010 reoriented their business to fintech, and attracting the first customers like BBVA or Barclays in the UK. Then in 2014, I was working at Red Hat as a marketing director. I was based in Boston at that time. And I received a call from the board of directors at Strands saying, hey, Eric, we are in trouble. The company is not doing well in the market side. We have this great product. We have 4 customers, which were 4 banks at that time: Barclays, BBVA, Bank of Montreal in Canada, and ING. But we are struggling with the sales. And also there were lack of leadership in the company, because when the company is in trouble, people suffer, so it goes to a situation that of the motivation of the team.
This is in 2014.
2014. So, so they say, hi, we are going to close. We are going to close because we don't know how to get a solution for this. We are in a CEO replacement process, but we don't find a proper CEO able to manage two cultures. At that time, Strands headquarters was based in San Francisco, California. Majority of the team was there. All the management team was there. And the company had a small laboratory here in Barcelona and another small lab in Madrid. The company was previously coming from that previous structure from the music to the fintech, so people were already tired after many years in the company. So they asked for my support, and after analyzing the company, I said, hey, the product is great. You have 4 customers, that's too few, but are good references, big names. I think I can do something with it.
This is what you thought. You could take this good product, good technology, and fix the sales part.
Exactly. So I came up with a plan and decided to leave Red Hat and to be involved with Strands full-time as a CEO of the company.
This is when I met you, and when I found out you were back at Strands, you were 2 weeks in San Francisco, 2 weeks here?
Yeah, more or less.
You did that for a while.
At the beginning, I spent around 6 months in San Francisco first, and then one of the first decisions I took was to close the San Francisco office, get rid of all the team, the 100% of the management team, and refound the company focused in Barcelona.
Okay.
So I came back to Barcelona, started to hire new engineers in Barcelona, and to promote people to take management positions in the company. So it was like a ring fence here in Barcelona. And growing from there. So that was the first wise decision. Automatically, as you can imagine, the expenses in having an office with a team of 20, 25 people in San Francisco is very expensive.
Did you have to interview everybody, or how did you let go of those people?
How did?
You said that you let go of people in San Francisco.
Yeah.
The entire management team.
The entire team except 2 people, one person for administrative that I moved to Miami, and another person for sales that I left there working from home in San Francisco.
Okay.
Except those 2 people, I terminated all other positions in the company. And you can imagine that same year, we passed from 10 years of losses in the company to profit. Just getting rid of all those expenses. Another immediate decision was to put marketing in the company. So I hired a marketing manager. Actually, the first day I entered into the company, I called a person that I knew. She was a great marketer, Victoria. And I said, hi, Victoria, remember that 5 years ago I told you that we will be working together again. Today is the day. So she immediately accepted to join, and she came in as a marketing director, so we started to do some marketing there. At that time, Strands had maybe 5, 6 major competitors, and the Strands brand was not known at all in the financial industry. All of our competitors were by far away from us, and we were in the back. Today, I can proudly say that Strands is the absolute leader in the money management technology space. We are working for 650 financial institutions worldwide. We have grown from 14 people in 2014 to 120 people that we are today. We increased offices from Barcelona to supply the lack or the absence of engineers in the United States, and being United States and Canada one of our target market, we needed to have engineers to serve those markets. But after the decision of not having engineers in the United States, we needed to supply that with people in other places. So something that I did was create a group of software engineers, one group in Havana, Cuba, and one group in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So from there, we were able to serve the whole America continent, and even beyond, because I may have people in Buenos Aires working for Deutsche Bank in Germany, for example.
Okay.
So,
well, this is leads me to my next question. You're also very involved with B Combinator. And what I liked about B Combinator is within Strands, or your philosophy, is one of you get concerned with, you see early stage companies very aggressively going to raise capital when what they really need is to develop sales. And it looks like this is what you were doing with Strands, because I understood that you guys might be looking for capital, and all of a sudden, really, you needed to
Yeah.
Can you talk about what it is that makes you special and being able to turn these companies around by really exploding sales.
yes, well, I mean, an advice that I always give to startups is it's okay to raise capital, but what is the purpose of raising capital? And you have to really think, why do you need capital for? But even before taking that decision, you have to have gone through a deep analysis or a deep processes of what you have done before raising capital. So it has been said already here today that having your customers as your main funders for the company is the best approach you can have as an entrepreneur. So this is the approach that I always do. The Strands, since you can imagine, closing the company versus turning around and growing. With the shareholders tired after 10 years of losses, they were not in a position to put more money in the company. So everything that I had to do was making sure that I will manage with the cash flow that the company will be able to generate. That's why my first decision was so drastic. By reducing dramatically the costs, I put the company in a positive cash flow, and with that positive cash flow, I could start building something. So taking that practice is what I always advise other companies as well. And in B Combinator, we do that at early stage. We like at B Combinator to work with early stage companies, even from creation to acceleration, different stages in that range of earliness. And when I see people approaching B Combinator with the single purpose of I need to get ready for investment, I say, stop. Why? Let's think, what have you done to find your first customer to fund your company? You have not done anything, let's do it. Let's do a plan first. Let's get some money from customer first.
Okay.
So I have done that pattern in all my companies so far. I have to say that applying that pattern in the B2B is easier than in the B2C. But even if I haven't done any B2C business myself. I have been an investor in B2C company, but I haven't been and entrepreneurs of those ventures, right? So, but if I would do it, I will try to get money from customer, even if I will create a B2C business. So back in B Combinator, we work a lot in the strategic part of the business.
Okay.
So I find out that many startups are going forward to fundraising or to execution without stopping a little bit at the strategy and what are the marketing approach they are going to use.
Do you do a lot of growth hacking then at B Combinator?
We have a startup that does growth hacking at B Combinator. We as a B Combinator do not do it, but at B Combinator we have an ecosystem of different startups at different stages. Something that we procure is to have startups that has different activities that can complement each other. So, okay. So that's why you might have heard about growth hacking at B Combinator, but we don't do it ourselves. We have a startup that is found. The name is Find That Lead, that does it.
Yeah, a quick plug for Find That Lead. They've done a fantastic job helping lots of startups here in Barcelona be better at identifying potential prospective targets, and they've been...
Exactly. For a B2C and even for a B2B venture, that's one of the early things that a company can do, even before thinking on raising funds. Do growth hacking, get some customers, try to get some money from them. And
when you start that trajectory, then it's more likely that the investors will be looking at you with a little bit more value.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have done fundraising myself for company. You have been seeing today two people that were my investors in Polymeta. One was Christopher, and the other was Laura. They were my investors in Polymeta. But before fundraising, I was already generating above €1 million in revenue with 300,000 euros of profit. So
okay. So then, as we probably need to wrap this up a little bit, what is the next big thing for B Combinator or Strands? What would you like to emphasize?
Oh, okay. Let me start for Strands, which is the company I'm committed and work full time. So Strands continue growth year over year. So as I said before, we are working for more than 600 financial institutions. So we entered into a partnership with MasterCard last year. So what we are planning to do is to start growing year over year at 100%. So this is the purpose of the company so far, and with this kind of partnership, it will accelerate our growth in the near future. So we will continue in that path. With B Combinator, our purpose is to help startups to be as successful as I have been in my previous companies. I have been creating several companies here in Barcelona. I have sold 3 companies. Maybe Strands is the next exit that I will have. So my purpose in life so far is to give back to the ecosystem what I have already received from the ecosystem along the past 20 years. Okay. So I want to concentrate all those efforts in help all of you to be successful with your respective ventures.
Well, I'm involved with a number of companies whose really main focus needs to grow sales, and perhaps we should be a client of yours at B Combinator. Anyway, well, if there's any, I don't think I have anything else for the moment, but thank you very much for joining us, and if you guys can give a warm hand for Erik and continue the great work.
Thank you. Thank you.